Tampa car dealership abruptly closed its doors today, leaving already frustrated customers wondering what to do next.
Dealers are drowning in inventory with nearly 3 million unsold vehicles gathering dust. Some models have supply levels exceeding 200 days, meaning dealers could stop receiving new cars and still have 6 months of inventory. Watch till the end, because we are exposing 16 models only stupid people buy, and surprisingly, some of these come from trusted names. 2025 Mini Cooper Hardtop, starting our countdown with a vehicle that perfectly embodies everything wrong with modern car pricing. We encounter a machine that costs more than a Toyota RAV4, but provides about as much space as a shopping cart, currently sitting with a 224-day supply on dealer lots. To put that in perspective, dealers have enough of these cars to last almost 8 months without selling a single additional unit. The base price starts at $32,200. Think about that number carefully. You could buy a Honda Civic, Toyota Corolla, or Nissan Sentra and have $15,000 left over. Instead, you are paying luxury car money for a vehicle that struggles to fit 2 adults comfortably and has virtually no cargo space. The people buying these cars are usually young professionals who want to appear sophisticated and European. They walk into the dealership thinking they are getting a premium driving experience, when in reality they are getting a car that costs more to insure than many sports cars, because insurance companies classify it as a high-performance vehicle. Here is what nobody tells you about owning this British icon. The maintenance costs are closer to BMW levels than Honda levels. Because guess what? It essentially is a BMW underneath. You will pay premium prices for parts, premium prices for service, and premium prices for repairs. Meanwhile, you are driving around in a car that most people assume you bought because you could not afford anything bigger. The real kicker is that sales have been declining consistently, which means resale values are heading in only one direction. When you go to trade this car in 3 or 4 years from now, you will discover that the market for expensive small cars is even smaller than the cars themselves. However, if you think paying luxury prices for compact cars is bad, wait until you see what happens when you buy yesterday's technology at tomorrow's prices. 2025 Audi A7. Moving from overpriced compacts to luxury sedans that nobody wants, we encounter a vehicle that currently has a 225-day supply on dealer lots, making it one of the slowest selling vehicles in America. The current generation has been around since 2019, which in car years makes it practically ancient. Here is the worst part. Audi is about to release a completely redesigned A7 sometime in 2025. Development mules have already been spotted testing in Europe. This means anyone buying the current model today is essentially purchasing a 6-year-old design at full price, knowing that a brand new generation is right around the corner, starting at around $72,000, which according to the 10% rule means you should be making at least $720,000 per year to afford it. Most people buying these cars make maybe 1/10 of that amount. They convince themselves they can afford the monthly payment while completely ignoring the total cost of ownership. Maintenance costs average around $1,400 per year, compared to $652 for the average car. That is an extra $750 annually just to keep your car running properly. Over 5 years of ownership, you will spend nearly $4,000 more on maintenance alone, compared to buying a reliable Toyota or Honda. The depreciation on luxury sedans like this is absolutely brutal. Large luxury cars lose value faster than almost any other vehicle category, because fewer people want to buy them used. You are not just buying an expensive car, you are buying an expensive car that will become a cheap car very quickly, leaving you upside down on your loan. Speaking of vehicles that lose value rapidly, our next entry proves that sometimes having an identical twin can make you look even worse. 2025 BMW Z4. If you want to understand how badly positioned a car can be in the marketplace, look no further than this German sports car disaster. Through the first half of 2024, BMW managed to sell exactly 928 units. Meanwhile, the Toyota Supra, which shares the exact same platform and is built in the same factory, sold 1,495 units. Let that sink in. You have two cars that are essentially identical underneath, both built by the same manufacturer, both targeting the same buyers. Yet the Toyota outsells the BMW by a significant margin while costing considerably less money, starting around $55,000, while a comparable Supra can be had for about $10,000 less. The BMW badge used to mean something in the sports car world. It used to represent the ultimate driving machine, precision engineering, and motorsport heritage. Today, it represents overpriced vehicles with questionable reliability and maintenance costs that will make your wallet cry. This model exemplifies everything wrong with modern BMW: high prices, mediocre reliability, and a driving experience that does not justify the premium. Insurance costs are particularly brutal, because insurance companies know that sports car buyers tend to be young males who like to drive aggressively. Your 6-month premium will easily run $4,000 or more, which means you are paying $8,000 per year just for the privilege of insuring this car. Over 3 years, your insurance costs alone will equal the price of a brand new economy car. The sports car market itself is shrinking rapidly as younger buyers gravitate toward sport utility vehicles and trucks. When you eventually try to sell this car, you will be competing with a dwindling pool of buyers who have better options available at lower prices. We just spent weeks analyzing sales data, insurance costs, and depreciation rates across dozens of sports cars to give you the real numbers dealers don't want you to see. Now you have the insider knowledge to avoid a $50,000 mistake in under 5 minutes. If this research saved you from financial disaster, hit that subscribe button so we can keep exposing these automotive traps before you fall into them. From sports cars that cost too much, we transition to family vehicles from brands that might vanish completely, starting with a company that somehow made their only product worse. 2025 Chrysler Voyager. Imagine a company that produces exactly one type of vehicle, then decides to create an inferior version of their sole offering. Chrysler brought back the Voyager nameplate as a cheaper alternative to the Pacifica minivan. This decision represents everything wrong with Chrysler as a brand. Currently sitting with a 285-day supply on dealer lots, dealers literally cannot give these vehicles away to consumers. Essentially a stripped-down Pacifica with fewer features, cheaper materials, and lower build quality. Chrysler took their marginally acceptable minivan and made it worse, then expected people to be excited about buying it. Chrysler as a brand is in complete free fall. They have discontinued virtually every vehicle in their lineup except for the Pacifica. The iconic 300 sedan was canceled in 2023. Their parent company Stellantis is actively reviewing all 14 of its brands with the goal of cutting dead weight, and Chrysler sits right at the top of the chopping block. When you buy this vehicle, you are not just purchasing a mediocre minivan. You are buying into a brand that might not exist in 5 years. What happens to parts availability when Chrysler gets discontinued? What happens to warranty coverage? What happens to resale value when people realize they own a vehicle from a dead brand? However, if buying from dying American brands concerns you, wait until you discover what happens when Italian passion meets automotive unreliability. 2025 Alfa Romeo Giulia. Some manufacturers build the most beautiful cars in the world, offering gorgeous styling, amazing sound, and engaging driving experiences that put German competitors to shame. Unfortunately, beauty is only skin deep, and underneath that stunning Italian exterior lies a reliability nightmare that will drain your bank account faster than you can say, ciao. Currently maintaining a 285-day supply on dealer lots, making it one of the slowest-selling luxury sedans in America. The manufacturer has only managed to find buyers for a handful of these cars each month, despite offering significant incentives and discounts. The reliability issues are legendary in the worst possible way. Owners report problems with the infotainment system, electrical gremlins, transmission issues, and engine problems. The car might run perfectly for 6 months, then suddenly develop 3 different problems in the same week. Maintenance and repair costs are astronomical. You're paying for parts and service at European luxury car rates. but getting reliability that makes a 10-year-old domestic car look like a Toyota Camry. The average owner spends more on repairs in 1 year than most people spend on an entire used car. The resale value story gets even worse. When you combine poor reliability with limited dealer network and expensive parts, you create a perfect storm of depreciation that will leave you underwater on your loan faster than the Titanic. From Italian disappointments, we move to a Japanese sports car where dealer greed completely destroyed what should have been a success story. 2025 Nissan Z. Sometimes a manufacturer creates what should be a home run product. Nissan took their iconic sports car, gave it a retro-inspired design, stuffed a twin-turbo V6 under the hood, and priced it competitively against established competitors. Everything looked perfect on paper. Then dealers got involved and ruined everything. When first launched, dealers were adding $10,000 to $20,000 markups over the manufacturer's suggested retail price. A car that should have cost $40,000 was suddenly $50,000 or $60,000. At those prices, you could buy a Corvette, which offers better performance, better reliability, and much stronger resale value. The dealer markup disaster killed demand before it ever had a chance to succeed. Now dealers are stuck with massive inventory pileups, despite Nissan actually selling more Z cars in 2024 than in previous years. The parent company is also facing serious financial difficulties. They reported a $5.4 billion loss recently and are cutting 9,000 jobs while shutting down plants. When you buy a car from a company that is struggling financially, you have to wonder about future parts availability, warranty support, and overall brand viability. Speaking of brands in crisis, our next manufacturer is experiencing an identity meltdown that makes teenage rebellion look sophisticated. 2025 Jaguar FPace. Picture a luxury brand going through an identity crisis, so severe it makes a teenage goth phase look stable by comparison. This British manufacturer has discontinued virtually every vehicle in their lineup as part of a complete pivot to electric vehicles, leaving just one model remaining for sale in the United States. When you buy the last car from a dying brand, you are essentially gambling with your money. The company promises they will return with exciting electric vehicles, but their recent rebranding effort has been an unmitigated disaster. They replaced their iconic Leaper logo with a generic J inside a circle, created advertisements featuring fashion models with no cars in sight, and adopted slogans like "Live Vivid" that mean absolutely nothing. The automotive internet dragged Jaguar mercilessly for their tone-deaf rebranding campaign. The company is also slashing their dealership network across the United States to match their shrinking sales volume. Fewer dealerships means longer drives for service, reduced parts availability, and weaker support when things go wrong. Why would anyone choose the orphaned vehicle from a brand that cannot figure out what it wants to be? From British confusion, we shift to American mediocrity that perfectly defines automotive irrelevance. 2025 Ford Escape. In the brutally competitive world of compact sport utility vehicles, being unremarkable is a death sentence, and that is precisely the fate confronting the 2025 Ford Escape. Despite a mid-cycle refresh intended to breathe new life into the lineup, Ford dealers are quietly panicking as these models pile up on their lots, unsold and unloved. What was once a dependable name in the compact SUV market has now become a financial liability for both buyers and manufacturers. And that has serious consequences beyond just the sales floor. The Escape's problems begin with a confused identity. It tries to appeal to a wide audience but lacks any defining feature. It is not the most fuel-efficient vehicle in its class. That honor still belongs to Toyota's RAV4 hybrid. It is not the most reliable. That distinction goes to Honda's CR-V. And it is certainly not the most refined, especially compared to Mazda's CX-F IVE, which continues to punch above its weight in styling, handling, and interior design. In almost every head-to-head comparison, the Escape falls somewhere in the middle or toward the bottom. That mediocrity has a price. The resale value of the Ford Escape is already plummeting. Why? Because when new models fail to move, used models suffer in tandem. Buyers looking to trade in a 2-year-old Escape are shocked to discover its trade-in value is thousands of dollars lower than expected. This phenomenon is accelerating because Ford has been forced to offer deep cash incentives, 0% financing offers, and even loyalty rebates to clear out overstocked lots. That might save new buyers a bit of money today, but it is a ticking time bomb for future resale. Even worse, many owners report frustration with the Escape's turbocharged engines. While initially peppy, they often underperform in real-world fuel economy tests. Some owners have also cited transmission quirks, infotainment glitches, and inconsistent interior quality. All these factors create a ripple effect: lower consumer confidence, higher depreciation, and long-term dissatisfaction. As consumer preference shifts toward hybrids and all-wheel drive crossovers with proven longevity, the Ford Escape finds itself caught in a shrinking zone of relevance. And when your competition includes not just legacy brands but also upstarts like Hyundai and Kia, both of which now offer better warranties and superior technology, the margin for error disappears. The Escape needed to be bold, fresh, and reliable. Instead, it arrived as a placeholder in a segment that rewards innovation. As Ford struggles to clarify its direction in the compact SUV arena, this model has quickly become a symbol of what happens when you fail to evolve fast enough. From Ford's stalled SUV ambitions, we move toward a brand that still exists, though barely, and whose identity crisis has left it stranded between price and prestige. 2025 Buick Encore GX. Some brands exist in automotive limbo, too expensive to be considered value-oriented and too bland to qualify as luxury. This perfectly describes Buick, which embodies this identity crisis perfectly, positioning itself as semi-premium, while offering nothing special compared to mainstream alternatives that cost thousands less. Most Americans cannot name a single current model, which signals massive brand irrelevance. The company has no clear value proposition, distinctive design, or compelling reason to choose them over any competitor. General Motors has repeatedly eliminated unprofitable brands like Oldsmobile, Pontiac, Saturn, and Hummer. Buying a Buick today means betting that General Motors will continue supporting a brand that is primarily successful in China rather than America. From brands facing extinction, we examine vehicles that have already received their execution date. 2025 Infiniti, QX50 and QX55. Imagine buying a luxury vehicle, only to discover it is being canceled before your first oil change. That is the reality for owners of the Infiniti QX50 and QX55, both of which have officially been marked for discontinuation by the end of 2025. Infiniti hasn't just given up on these specific models, it is retreating from the very segment they were designed to compete in. And that is sending shockwaves through what remains of its loyal customer base. These vehicles, once positioned as Infiniti's answer to the BMW X4 and Audi Q5 Sportback, never gained meaningful traction. Part of the problem was pricing. Part of it was confusing design. But most of it came down to perception. These models lacked the driving dynamics, refinement, and cachet to compete with German rivals. And now that Infiniti is winding down production, they are flooding dealer lots at deep discounts, turning so-called luxury vehicles into clearance items. What makes this especially painful for buyers is the erosion of the premium experience. Infiniti dealerships are being merged with Nissan locations across the country, eliminating the upscale environments and service perks that once justified higher prices. Owners now face long waits, generic loaners, and service staff trained more for economy cars than high-end models. So you pay more, but receive less. Worse still, Nissan's corporate health is not inspiring confidence. Mounting losses, plant closures, and shrinking development budgets have raised questions about how much longer Infiniti can survive in the United States. Even though executives issue public reassurances, the writing is on the wall. Job cuts and investment pullbacks always hit luxury divisions first. Buying a discontinued luxury vehicle might net you a great deal on paper, but it can quickly turn into a nightmare. Parts become harder to source. Resale values tank. And if software support or dealer access disappears, the ownership experience collapses entirely. These are not just risks, they are already happening. From Japanese brands in retreat, we turn to a German manufacturer whose newest release somehow managed to subtract value from success. 2025 BMW X. 2. Sometimes successful automotive platforms give birth to inferior derivatives that make you question manufacturer logic. BMW took their successful X1 platform and created a worse version offering less cargo space, harsher ride quality, and questionable styling at premium prices. Suffers from brittle, jarring ride quality that makes passengers feel every road imperfection, destroying luxury comfort expectations. The cabin becomes surprisingly noisy over rough pavement, while cargo space shrinks compared to the X1 despite sharing the same platform. You pay more money for less utility, representing the opposite of value. High inventory levels exist because smart buyers recognize the X1 offers better value, making this model an unnecessary addition that serves no real market purpose. From questionable German decisions, we move to a luxury sedan from a brand famous for reliability facing an impossible market reality. 2025 Lexus LS. Even the most reliable luxury brands cannot overcome fundamental market forces when consumer preferences shift dramatically. Through 2024, Lexus sold only 1,706 examples, making it one of their slowest-selling vehicles with discontinuation rumors persisting. Starting at approximately $80,000, it competes directly with luxury sport utility vehicles offering more space, higher seating positions, and greater versatility. Most luxury buyers prefer commanding SUV views and practical benefits over low sedan seating and limited utility. You are essentially purchasing into a shrinking market with limited future prospects and older demographics that are not being replaced by younger buyers. From reliable brands struggling with market shifts, we examine German engineering that promised excellence but delivered technological disappointment. 2025 Volkswagen ID4. Sometimes manufacturers make grand promises about sophisticated engineering and advanced technology, only to deliver products plagued with software bugs, charging problems, and build quality issues that make competitors look reliable by comparison. Suffers from chronic software problems affecting everything from infotainment to basic vehicle functions, creating daily owner frustration. Customers report persistent charging system glitches, climate control problems, and frustrating over-the-air updates that promise fixes but often create new issues instead. The electric vehicle market moves rapidly with new models offering better range, faster charging, and advanced features arriving constantly. From electric vehicles that barely work, we move to one that cannot even be fueled outside a single state. 2025 Toyota Mirai. Imagine purchasing a vehicle with impressive range and quick refueling capabilities, only to discover you cannot fuel it anywhere outside one specific state. This represents the biggest mismatch between technology and infrastructure in automotive history. Through 2024, Toyota sold exactly 245 examples nationwide, fewer than one per state. Even with massive discounts and lease incentives, the manufacturer cannot convince people to buy cars requiring unavailable fuel. Required infrastructure investment would cost hundreds of billions that nobody will spend, making hydrogen commercially unviable for mass adoption. From technological dead ends we examine a luxury electric vehicle that looks like it was designed by committee in complete darkness. 2025 BMW iX. Sometimes luxury manufacturers completely miss the mark on design, creating vehicles so polarizing they become automotive punchlines. BMW enlarged their traditional kidney grille to cartoonish proportions, creating a front end resembling a giant beaver or angry walrus. Despite solid technology and driving dynamics, sits on lots with high inventory because buyers cannot accept the polarizing appearance, generating negative attention everywhere. When spending $80,000 on luxury vehicles, you want prestigious and attractive designs, not something making people point and laugh. They struggle matching Tesla's software sophistication and charging integration, delivering inferior technological experiences to luxury buyers with high expectations. Finally, we reach the ultimate automotive disaster that represents everything wrong with buying from startups. 2025 Lucid Air. Our final entry represents the absolute worst-case scenario for anyone considering buying from an electric vehicle startup. Lucid Motors has posted a staggering $3.4 billion loss, while their stock price has declined more than 95% from its peak. Production targets have been missed consistently, with the company struggling to source basic components like windshields and carpeting. Customers who placed orders have waited months longer than promised for delivery, and when vehicles finally arrive, they often suffer from software bugs and quality control issues. The leadership situation has become a disaster, with Chief Executive Officer Peter Rawlinson stepping down and an interim replacement brought in to stabilize the company. Survival now depends entirely on continued funding from Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund. When you buy a Lucid Air, you are betting $100,000 or more that a financially troubled startup company will survive long enough to provide parts, service, and warranty support. If Lucid fails, you will own an extremely expensive paperweight that no mechanic can fix and no dealer can service. Smart people buy cars from companies with decades of experience, extensive dealer networks, and proven track records of supporting their products long-term. Stupid people buy cars from startups that burn money faster than their batteries discharge and depend on foreign governments for survival. The bottom line is simple. These 16 vehicles represent everything wrong with modern car buying decisions. They are expensive cars that nobody wants, from brands with questionable futures, offering poor value and worse prospects for resale. If this video saved you from making a $50,000 mistake, make sure to subscribe and share it with someone who might be about to buy one of these automotive disasters. Your wallet will thank you, and your future self will appreciate the smart financial decision you made today.